Opinions expressed on this program or the products endorsed on this program are not necessarily those of KTLB Radio.
Good morning, Oklahoma City, and welcome to the Clara Luper Show. In a moment, your host, Sister Clara Luper.
Come on, Jesus. Come on, Jesus.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Happy good morning to you, wherever you are. This is the Clara Luper Radio Show, and this is a show that you waited an entire week on. You waited because you knew that Clara Luper was going to give you the best. What is the best? Well, all you have to do is just stay tuned. And this part of our program is brought to you by your favorite Allstate insurance agent, Marilyn Hildreth. The telephone number is 843-0811, located at 730 North Britton Road. Marilyn will be celebrating some 27 years of being in the Allstate business next week. I would invite all of you to go out to 730 North Britton Road and see for yourself. Thank you for making Marilyn Hildreth one of the top insurance agents in the United States. Today's program is going to be a very special program because I'm going to dedicate it to someone that has touched our hearts. How do you touch people's hearts? Not only with words, but with action. And be sure and call a friend and tell them that Clara Luper is on the air. Hometown would like for you to visit them for your Labor Day shopping at 2001 Northeast 23rd Street. They are open 24 hours for your convenience. He was born in Dallas, Texas. Call it a long time ago. But what difference does it make when you have something on your agenda? One of the things that was on his agenda was placed there not by himself, but on the great God of the universe. It was exactly 41 years and some 4 months ago that my distinguished guest today was called into the ministry. He took it very serious, prepared himself for the ministry in such a way that he has been a motivational factor to all of us. What is it that makes Reverend Dr. F.D. Roseberry ticker? What is it that makes him a father, a pastor, a friend, a leader? What is it about him? We had the opportunity as we kicked off the sit-in movement. We had the opportunity to hear from Reverend Dr. F.D. Roseberry. It was at the Evangelistic Baptist Church. The date was August 19th, 2001. The program was coordinated by Mrs. Walker, Mrs. Bosie Walker, with Reverend Dr. F.D. Roseberry. Took the words and warmed our hearts. But you know, it's one thing about it. You can see through people, and there's so many fakes. But here was a man that stood tall. And I wanted so much to have the opportunity to share him with all of you out in Radio Land. And I know many of you are suffering from spiritual amnesia, where you hear a lot of hollering and yelling and jumping up, but you don't get the real word. And I wanted to bring it to you today. And I will do that in just a minute. You may listen very carefully and call 672-1220. One thing that I want you to do is to always give people flowers while they live. Don't wait until somebody dies and bring them flowers. They can't smell the flowers, but give them flowers. And certainly Reverend Dr. Roseberry's congregation gave him flowers. They followed him. And I asked them, why is it that you're giving him this kind of support? And they told me something. He's my pastor. He's my pastor. He visits the sick. He's always with us. He's my pastor. Before we get to Reverend Roseburg, I want to tell you something. You know, as we celebrated the sit-in movement last week, so many of you say that it's all over. I would like to read the headlines from the Seminole Producer, a newspaper printed in Seminole, Oklahoma, August the 23rd, 2000. KKK Flower gives local headquarters address. Is the headquarters for the Ku Klux Klan in Seminole. So states a flower that was passed out in southern Oklahoma. The flower stated that we need help with the big decision. You say you cannot make up your mind whether to join the Ku Klux Klan or just go on sitting on the fence hoping someone else will stand up for your white rights. These flowers were passed out. Black folks in the Seminole area trembled because they didn't know what would happen. They gave a telephone number on the flyer. The telephone number was 580-229-530. It was answered by a machine. And then a man who said he's the Grand Dragon of Oklahoma will call you back. And now this is a shocker. Don't take my word for it. Pick up a Seminole paper. Well, he said this, that they had received a lot of calls and people were upset about it. The Klansmen threw these papers on the lawns. But if they get us, they would have to get Walmart. Did you hear what I say? They would have to get Walmart because some of the flowers were at Walmart in Seminole, Oklahoma. I just wanted to give you that because I wanted you to know that the fight is not over. This portion of our program is brought to you by Robert Gates at 2609 North Martin Luther King in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. I read the biggest misinformation in the paper written by the so-called historian Curry Ballard. Curry Ballard in the Daily Oklahoman on Friday, August the 31st, wrote that Roscoe Dungy conducted the first nation sit-in in 1957 with Clara Luper's NAACP youth group. But one thing Mr. Curry is going to have to do, he's going to have to publicly apologize. He's going to have to correct that article. Now, Mr. Curry, wherever you are, I'm from Hoffman, Oklahoma, and you cannot lie on Clara Luper without backing it up with some facts. So I'm going to ask you to produce some facts. Now, I have some witnesses, Willard Moore, Ira Holmes, and NAACP. Where are your witnesses? And then when I read that article, I went back through the NAACP files, and I have no record of Curry Ballard contributing one dime to the NAACP Youth Council during the sit-in movement or after. If I'm wrong, then I will apologize. But the records will speak for themselves. And I don't like for anybody to mislead people. We have all kind of history books. I have in my hand Black Heritage of Oklahoma that was written by some eminent historians. And Gene Aldrich, and I have all kind of history books, and no history book will tell you that Roscoe Dungy started the sit-ins. In fact, if any of you out there in Radio Land ever saw Roscoe Dungy in a sit-in, would you call me here, 672-12200. Now we are ready. We are ready to hear from Reverend Dr. Roseburg. How are you this morning, sir?
Fine, Mrs. Luper. How are you?
I feel good because
Good.
I am so happy to have you in the studio this morning.
Well, I'm glad to be here.
I'm happy because you have touched our hearts. You have touched our hearts, and I want you to know that.
Thank you.
The young people that heard you last week was just pleased. The senior citizens, the juniors, all of them were just pleased with you. I know you've been very successful, and you've had, while a lot of experience. And I have tried to describe why you entered the ministry, but I would like for you to tell me, why did you enter the ministry?
Well, the ministry entered me.
Oh, I see.
The Lord picked me up, and that was His goal for my being here, because my mother died from childbirth with me, and I grew up without sister or brother. But the Lord saved me, and that's why He left me here for
Oh,
this
all right.
purpose.
You say your mother died in childbirth. Who raised you?
My grandmother, tough sister,
Tough. What you mean by tough?
tough. Well, she was very strict. She loved me. She didn't play. She sent me to school in white and dared me to get dirty. And I'd stand up all day and touch nothing and still have some dirt and get whipped. But she was strict, she loved me, and she asked the Lord to let her live to raise me. She was old when she got me, but they wanted to send me to a orphanage.
Well, where was your dad?
My dad's he's passed in '84.
He allowed your grandmother to raise you?
Yes, he did. He was around.
He was around, but it was
around.
your grandmother that stabbed.
Grandmother was the one that
So
did
when
it.
you first heard about Jesus, you heard about Jesus through your grandmother.
That's correct.
Oh, Clara Luper's talking to the doctor, Dr. F.D. Roseberg. All right, now you say that God called you, right?
Yes.
Okay, now why did you have a problem with it? Yes.
Somewhat.
Okay.
I wanted to preach since 9 years of age, but there was some doubt, and I kind of dodged it. But the Lord never let go of me, and He made it very clear at the age of 21, and He had me in a predicament where I couldn't say no.
What kind of predicament could that
Well, the Lord know how to put you in such situation till you either say no or you either say yes or die. I wish you was dead.
be? Yeah, it'd be easier to say yes and die.
That's true. But he made it clear to me, and I accepted the call, and I prayed about it, and I slept 2 nights in the living room and put a clock in front of me. I said, now, Lord, if I'm called to preach, wake me up at 4 a.m. No alarm. Wake me up. At 4 a.m., my eyes open on the clock. I did it 2 nights in a row. And then the third night, I had a dream of the choir. The whole heavens was a heavenly choir singing. God's Spirit is coming down, down, down. And I knew that was my answer. So I accepted the call, and the first sermon I preached, my grandmother came to hear me.
Really? Where was that? In Dallas?
In Dallas at the Salem Baptist Church.
And your grandmother came to hear you?
She came to hear me. I took my text. She shouted. After church, I said, Grandmother, I said, why'd you shout? I hadn't gotten to that yet. She said, you never did. I was shouting because of who you are, not because of what you were doing. You wasn't doing nothing. She was very plain, very candid.
What did you say afterwards?
I couldn't say anything because she was right.
Oh,
know.
it was a sorry sermon.
Well, a first time sermon,
First
what you
time
expect,
sermon.
yeah.
Well, I know a lot of people still preaching first time
Yeah.
sermons. Okay, now, Doctor, and you entered the ministry.
Mhm.
I know you went on and you went on to various schools and universities and what have you, and you fell in love eventually.
Well, I married Donna, is the name. She and I were high school sweethearts.
Oh, you mean to tell me you married someone that you knew in high school?
I knew her in high school. I used to walk and carry her books. We had no buses when I was going to high school. We'd walk sun, rain, shine, sleet, or snow, a mile and a half. I'd carry her books. I couldn't
You
go.
carried her books a mile and a half in your books?
Yes, and I couldn't go any further than the front gate. I couldn't get to the porch. I stopped at the gate and said goodbye.
No kisses?
No.
Okay. You stopped at the gate and you said goodbye. Okay, what happened after then?
I went home and I'd call her, and her brother would answer the phone and say, "You just left her, man. What do you want?" So I talked with her, but I went in service in the Navy, came out, married her. We'll be married 47 years in December.
Well, that's what's wrong with my business. I used to be a marriage consultant and
Is that
people
right?
stayed married too long.
Is that right?
You stayed with her 40-some years.
47 years coming December 5th.
47 years.
Mm-hmm.
That should be quite a challenge to be a preacher's wife.
It is. It's a challenge, but she's been a very good wife. We both had to grow. You know, when you start out, you think you need something that you don't need. You see what somebody else has, and you say, "I wish I had that or this or the other." But the Lord gives you what you need.
Well, so you have been a good husband.
I've tried to be.
Okay, well, I'll have to talk to.
She'll agree with that.
Okay, well, I'll talk to her, and I sure will follow up. Okay, now I wanted to show the human side of you before we get into the meat of my interview. On last Sunday you spoke. Would you share some of the words that you gave to us with my radio audience?
Well, I talked about some history. It wasn't a sermon that I was fighting, but just relating some history and in honor and appreciation for your work. As I said, Miss Juanita Kraft in Dallas, I remember her, and she led sit-ins, and you've done a great work, and there are so many people. I know the sit-inners that were with you at that time are middle-aged people now, and then there are many who did the work who have gone on to heaven, but thank the Lord you are left, and I just wanted to relate some of the history of what the black people had gone through to get us to where we are now. Education and politics and even churches and pastors. And we just thank the Lord for their labor. And hopefully that we who are enjoying hotels and recreational facilities and transportation and all of these things, we need to understand why we're doing it. My grandmother never got that opportunity. She never, as I said, she never finished elementary school. She didn't know a verb from a pronoun and all this kind of stuff. And as I said on our sermon, you know, she said, "Boy, it's time to get something to eat." But I didn't need to congregate no verbs. I knew it was time to eat. I could smell it.
And she could cook, too.
And she could cook. That's true. She could cook. So, but she had a lot of philosophy. She had a lot of wisdom. I had never gone to a doctor until I was in service. And I had every disease a child could have. But for every disease, she had a remedy. And I got well. Sure did. So she
had
was
a remedy.
She had a remedy. She was a tremendous lady.
All right, you also told us about the Smarties. Tell me that.
Yes, this African historian in Senegal, Shaka Anti-Diop.
I like that name. Would you repeat it for me?
Shaka
Shaka
Anti-Diop.
Diop.
Yes, he was had 30 master degrees, spoke 40 different languages fluently, and IQ over 200. He was a great man, and he has been the smartest man in the 20th century. Not Einstein, who gave us the theory of relativity to eagle MC square, or Copernicus, who made a doorway in the sky, but Shakai anti-diop. That's French name, diop. And you can find him in the library. That's where I found him. I heard a black historian talk about him, and I never repeat what somebody say unless I know.
Okay, so we can
So I went and you can find him in the library, Encyclopedia World Biography, the 5th book, page 21.
Now that's what you call a historian.
CHEIKH.
CHE.
IKH.
Okay.
And ANTA.
Okay.
DIOP.
DIOP. I like to hear you pronounce it.
Diop.
Diop. Okay. Really smart. What did he do with all those degrees?
Well, he was a historian. He wrote books and he did things, but he couldn't. The white folk wouldn't give him his doctorate with all those degrees. And he died. Let me see. He didn't live a long time, but he died in 80-something, I think. I had that down here. Let me see, where is it?
Okay, so he was the smartest man of the 20th century.
That's what.
That's what the
yes.
That's what the book says.
Right.
Okay, and you went on to tell us what we must do now. What is it that we need to do now as minorities, as black
Take
people?
advantage of opportunities to go to school, to learn, for jobs, family, community, churches, and make life better for all that we can touch now. We have opportunity now.
And that's what you have done at Paradise Baptist Church and at other churches that you have pastored. How do you keep your members so happy? All of them. How do you keep them so happy?
I bet they're laughing now when you...
No, they aren't. They are serious. Because you don't have very many. Sometimes in churches, they divide between the young and the old. And how do you keep all of them so happy?
Well, I try to reach all age levels, and I try to give a program for all ages. I went to the Congress this year, and I took a course of ministering to young adults. And I came back and implemented a program, and I guess for the last 6 or 7 or 8 Sundays, we've taken in young adults and baptizing young adults. But I had missed them. And my eyes had to be open to them, but we have programs now, and we're trying to minister to all ages. We have a youth program, and we have men program, we have educational program, nursing. Sister Clara is over our nursing, health area.
She's one of ours.
Yeah, and we try to preach to something that will help. If you preach sermons that will meet people's needs, they'll come back.
And if not, they'll go to sleep on you while you're preaching.
I'll go somewhere else next Sunday.
I'll go somewhere else next Sunday. Oh,
right, but if their needs are met, and young adults' needs are, in the school, well, I tell you, Reverend Glenn Woodbury, and I give him the credit for teaching a class, and he mentioned the fact that he went to the convention. He didn't take preaching. He took something that would help his ministry, and he took ministering to young adults. And he said his church blossomed. And I said, well, if he can do it, I want to know what he's doing.
Well, he's sure doing a good job.
And I took it.
And you took it.
And I can tell it helps tremendously, because their theme was, young adults say so much, I'll be glad when I get grown, leave home, go to my own. But when they get on their own, it's a different story. And facing the real world There's so many challenges out there, so many things to do facing the real world in life. Because in the real world, you don't find a lot of love.
Mm.
You've got to make your way. And I appreciate you for having taught all those years in John Marshall and touched so many lives of young people. And you don't forget your preacher, your teacher. You don't forget those persons at all.
Well, we should never forget you, and we will always appreciate you. How do you visit the sick in your church?
I do. If somebody's going for surgery, I'm there, whatever time it is, have prayer with them, and then come back. But if I know it,
You're going to
I'll
be there.
be there with them, yes. Have prayer. I think that's my job.
Do you have certain hours at your church?
No. I can be reached anytime.
Anytime we need you, we can
Yeah.
reach you.
If they don't catch me at church, they catch me at home, and somebody's always there.
I know that this is a big morning for you. And what's going on as far as Paradise is concerned today?
The Bible class number 3 have an annual breakfast. Mr. Gordon, the CPA, has a tax business over on Classen. He's a teacher, and he buys
He's a member of your church?
Eldridge Gordon, yes.
Oh, okay.
And he buys his class breakfast every year, an annual affair. And my wife is in his class, and I'm her guest.
Oh, I see.
At Golden Corral.
Well, you did something. You took up an orphan Sunday
Yes.
for the sit-in movement.
Mhm.
Why did you do it?
Well, I told our church, I said, now, I want you all to give an offering to encourage those young people. I said, I'm invited to preach. She could have invited anybody. There's a lot of good preachers in this city. I said, and if she offered me an honorarium, I will not take it. I want to go help, to give, not to get. And I said, y'all give an offering, and I want Mrs. Curry. I don't want to handle it. Let Mrs. Curry present it. And that's what happened. And I was saying, we love you, we support your work, and want to encourage you and your young people to keep on keeping on.
You certainly did. Mrs. Walker was so proud, she just cried.
Bless
She
her
was, she had been in the hospital the week before, and she was so proud. And I would like to just thank you. I don't want to keep you from your breakfast, but I got to have just 3 more
Okay,
minutes.
it's all right.
3 more minutes of the doctor. You have made tremendous progress at Paradise. Some of your programs that I have really been impressed with is your activating your missionary society, your brotherhood, your mass choir, your gospel choir, all on down the line. But what do you feel is your greatest accomplishment at Paradise?
Well, 12 years being there.
That's something for a Baptist church.
Well, Reverend Arnold had the tenure. He was there 8 years.
I knew him real well.
No pastor stayed beyond 8 years. It came under those years. And the Lord blessed me to reach that 8th year and then move on my 12th year. And, well, there's some good people there. You know, Brother Brown was there. He was
McKinley Brown.
He was really a
with us.
scholar,
Yes.
and he was a preacher's friend. And my deacons, they're friends of mine. I don't have any enemy deacons. I'm not a deacon fighter. I believe I can make friends with them if they're Christians, you know.
Okay, well, what about the preachers in your church?
We have 8 associates.
How many associates?
8.
What do they do?
Well, they're assigned to teaching. One is assigned to...
Wait just a minute now. You got 8 associate ministers in your church,
Yes, ma'am.
and you have each one with a different assignment.
Well, no, not each one.
Well, tell me the assignments.
Yeah, I guess you might say that each one is assigned to a Sunday school class. One or two of them are main teachers, and the others are associate teachers, assistant teachers. Then I have one that's over the prayer ministry. I have one that is over the devotional. In other words, he assigned the pastors on Sunday morning their duties, scripture or opening the service, stuff like this. And so they are very loyal. If one is preaching on Sunday night, they all come to hear him. You know, I mean, they don't, and they're not to just for themselves, and they're supportive of me. And I thank the Lord for that. But there are some of the best people in paradise you want to find, and they make pastoring easy.
Well, let's talk about your choirs.
All right. We have young adult choir. We have inspirational choir.
Who directs at young adults?
Well, Mrs. Regina Williams.
Okay.
You know, the Lord blessed us because we had a minister of music there, Sister Pat King. And she went to Fort Worth. And Sister Regina Williams came from Fort Worth.
Oh, my
looking
goodness.
for a place to play.
Isn't that
And the
right?
Lord directed her to our church, and she's a tremendous musician. Miss Ella Charles is there with us. And she's the music coordinator. And we have women's chorus, have male chorus, and we have a special Men of Paradise group. We have the young people's choir.
Who directs at young people's choir?
Mrs. Charles.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a young group. And
Okay.
they sing. So we have a good music department.
I know you have to go because anytime a lady been married to you for how many years now?
47, just about.
47 years, she shouldn't be made to wait. Because I want to get along with Mrs. Roseburg. I don't want her to sing. I called this morning and she said, well, we're getting ready to leave, and I thank her for being so kind. But I would like to thank you so much for being my distinguished guest today.
Thank you for the honor, and thank you for having me to preach anytime we can be of any help to you.
Well, you've been some help because anytime some and she
Right. Well, fine. I was just wondering, because I know my experience with the Syrian movement. I did not see him, but there was a possibility maybe that I did not see. So I wanted to ask you this. And I noticed in reading Clara's book and working with Clara, I did not see Roscoe Dungy there. So I was wondering if the paper made a mistake, the writer of the paper made a mistake. This is why I wanted to ask you.
I have called upon that writer to either put up
Thank you
or
so very
shut
much.
up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
So, well, I'm sure he's going to...
Did you enjoy Reverend Dr. Roseburg?
I personally did. I hope to hear him again because it was really an inspirational speech, and it was a speech food for thought. It gave us a lot to think about.
Mrs. Walker said she's going to become an associate member. Did you say that too?
I said, right.
You
So
meant it.
they were, I'm telling you, they were really out of sight.
Okay then.
And they really electrified, I'm sure, the church as much as they did Mrs. Walker and myself.
Well, thank you so very
Thank you
kindly
for-
for calling.
I want to say hello to the radio audience, wherever you are listening. And I'm so happy that you're listening to Clara's radio program. And I'm especially talking to these sit-inners. I think we have 5 or 6 and that's still here and in existence. And I'm not going to call their names because they do know who they are, and they were at the program Saturday. Some of them, they were there Saturday night, and they were at the Freedom Center. So if they worked with Dungy, because they sit in with you practically every day, especially Calvin and Marilyn. So I really like for them to let me know about Roscoe Dungy, because the writer of the article that was in the paper said that he was there. Not only was he there with the sit-inners, he was there each time that Mrs. Luper helped Mrs. Luper with the opening of the restaurants. So I'm sure if he was there, you saw him there. And he was there for the opening of the housing. And if he was there, I'm sure you saw him there. And I'd like for you to call me this morning if you're listening in to Clara Luper's program and let me know if you heard him, because the man says that's who's supposed to get the recognition for the sit-in movement. I want to know, when did he sit in, where did he sit in, and who was the Clara Luper that he was sitting in with. I want to thank you so very, very much. And tomorrow is Sunday. If you are a Christian, as the minister just said, I will see you at church on Sunday.
Well, thank you so
Bye
very
now.
kindly. I've called for Mr. Curry, who wrote the article in the Daily Oklahoman saying that Roscoe Dungy conducted the first sit-in. I would like for him to correct that. I call upon him to do it, because one thing you don't do, Mr. Curry Ballard, as a historian, is pass out the wrong information. Thousands of people have read your articles, and I hate to say this, but if you wrote this article, and I'm sure you did, then you did not write the truth, and therefore we question your stand on other issues. It states that you are a historian in residence at Langston University, and you are a member of the Oklahoma Opinion Board of Contributors. We ask you to come forward with some facts in the case. I know you're a very busy man. I have seen you talking about right to work, but if you are as wrong about right to work as you are about Roscoe Dungy conducting the sit-ins, then I can say one thing about you: you're a wrong brother. But we have learned many things down in Hoffman, Oklahoma, and Grayson. We have learned for people not to lie on us, but to tell the truth. Now, if you can't tell the truth, you shut your mouth, take your pen, and rewrite that article. We are asking you to do it immediately, Mr. Historian in residence at Langston University. I'm expecting a very important call today from Detroit, and I'm just waiting. Well, this is the Clara Luper radio show, and this part of the show is brought to you by CP's Catfish that's getting ready, and Miss Maryland's Gumbo that's getting ready for the Oklahoma State Fair. Now, when you come to the fair this year, I want you to make sure you find us. And I'm going to start telling you now so you know exactly where we are. We are in front of the Travel and Transportation Building. Now, we are in front, and we'll be selling that good old delicious catfish, CP's Catfish, Miss Maryland's Gumbo, Clara Luper's Lemonade, and Calvin Luper's French Fries. C.P. Wilson himself will be there. Merlin Hildred will be there part-time. You know, Merlin's insurance business is number one on her agent, but she will be there. And Merlin's at 730 North of Britton Road. I want you to remember, Johnson Chardinas is located at 1643 Northeast 50th Street in Oklahoma City. Our telephone number is 424-4656. I'm waiting on Mr. Words of Wisdom by Mr. McDaniels. I'm waiting on him because I want some wisdom. And he can tell you, that man, he has added so much to our program. Hello?
How you doing, Miss Luper?
I'm fine.
This is big time fluky.
Yes, Fluky.
Yeah.
I'm ready. Ladies and gentlemen, Words of Wisdom by Fluky McDaniels.
All right. Worry is interest paid on trouble before it is due. Come due.
Just a minute now. You say worry is interest
Yeah.
paid on trouble before it becomes due.
Uh-huh.
Well, I don't want no worry then. I don't want any worry if I'm a pay on trouble before it's due.
All right.
But thank you. Say, did you notice that article that Mr. Curry wrote saying that Dungy started the
You
sit-ins?
know I read that article.
What did you think about it?
Well, I think it was the one that Dungy wrote. It's wrong, and I don't go for the wrongdoing.
Okay, well, thank you so very kindly. He doesn't go for the wrong thing. All you people down in Seminole, Oklahoma, don't be afraid of the Ku Klux Klan, because we have nothing to fear. And if you got some of those papers, and if the headlines on it, don't be afraid. Calvin, are you paying on your bill?
Am I paying on my bill?
Where?
Am I paying on my bill? Right now I'm not paying on my bill. Right now I'm not paying on my bill, but I am going to listen to see what Coco has to say. That will determine the bill, how much I'll pay on my bill.
Okay. Coco.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Coco Thomas, your fantastic reporter. As Secretary of the NAACP Youth Council, I am inviting you to come and join us at one of our meetings that are every Monday night at 7 o'clock. Also, I would like to say that the Freedom Fiesta Clara Luper's banquet in my 8 years was one of the best. This is Coco Thomas, your fantastic reporter.
Okay, Coco, we had a lot of talk during the planning of the Freedom Fiesta. We had talk from advisors like Mrs. Walker, Miss Coleman, Miss Ford, Mrs. Davis, Mrs. Hunt, and all. They said they're going to beat Clara Luper. And you were on what team?
I was on Miss Ford and Mrs. Rice's team.
Okay, and you got beat, didn't you?
Yes, we did.
Did I swamp you?
No, you didn't.
I didn't swamp you.
Oh, yes, you did. I'm sorry.
I beat you bad, right?
Yes, you did.
Well, I want you to tell the world who was number one during the Freedom Fiesta.
Miss Clara Luper was number one during the Freedom Fiesta.
Okay, do you know who was number two?
Miss Gloria Matthews was number two.
Tell all of them. Who was number two now?
Miss Gloria Matthews was number two in the Freedom Fiesta.
Who came in third? Mrs. Hunter and Mrs.
Hunter
Davis.
and Mrs. Davis was number three in the Freedom Fiesta.
But why did anybody think they could beat Clara Luper?
I don't know.
Why do you think I won? Along with Berlin Nero and Rodale Hornby. Why do you think I won?
You won the...
Because of what? Okay?
You get what you want. You ask people. You know everybody.
No, I don't know everybody. But I'm going to tell you the reason I won. Because I'm grateful. I appreciate what people have done. I give people an opportunity to develop to their fullest potentials. And I'm the same Clara all the time. That's why I won. And that's why Berlin and Rodale and Michelle, that was all that was in our group.
Well,
Calvin, you came in.
Yeah, that sounds good, Mom.
seven.
All that sounds good. I'm glad to be a part of a winning team. Was that
No, you were not the winning team.
What?
You came in.
I said a part of the winning team.
You came
Your
in
success is part of our
in
success.
second place.
Well, we
You
had a
were
little
second
phone
place.
problems there. Thank you, Coco. But Mom, you know this. No matter what happened last
No,
weekend.
you congratulate
Well, I
me
will
for being
congratulate
number
you.
one.
Just be
'Cause
slow.
You did all that talk
because
about
I have
you
the
gonna
right
beat
to
me.
talk. You know, some people have a right to work. I have a right to talk.
Well, that's
And
all
my-
you did was talk. You didn't beat me.
My right to talk is going to include complimenting and congratulating all of the participants in the Freedom Fiesta, and to let them know that they're at the Freedom Center. You know, the results of their work will soon be shown. My ultimate compliment is to you, Mom, because
Say it loud.
you did whoop some of us.
Some of you just say us.
You did whoop us, but you didn't dampen our spirits. The only thing you did was encourage us to try harder and to work harder. Hey, no problem at all, because it was for a good cause, and it is a good cause. And one thing about the fight for freedom, it ain't over till it's over. And it's a long way from being over. We can see that by the activities that happen in our city. We can see by the planned activities that will be happening in our state. And we can see it by what's happening on our job. You know, it ain't over. Freedom ain't free, nor is the fight a short fight. So the fight is on. The Freedom Fiesta Week, actually, that spirit has to go with us during the rest of the year, during all of the year. And I think if we take that attitude and keep that attitude right, then we can make a difference. Because we can go to sleep and somebody is planning on a way, one, to get into your pocketbook, 2, to make your taxes a little higher. 3, to make your life a little more difficult. So our problem and our goal should be, as the NACP Youth Council and as people that are concerned about our city, is to be prepared and to stay prepared, and most importantly of all, to be intelligent about the issues that are coming up that we have to vote on.
One thing we've got to watch people, because when a historian misrepresents the truth, and incidentally, I want all of you to join me in getting on Curry Ballard's box. Let's tell a historian to either be a historian or take that name. Let's call him a pseudo historian.
Oh, Mom, Kerry made a mistake.
He made a big mistake.
He made a big
you don't
mistake.
make a big mistake when you fool with people from Hoffman and Grayson.
Okay,
Langston
that was his problem.
John
Had
Morrison.
one stop sign town down there.
That's
plenty,
okay.
Plenty of
One thing
blackjacks.
about it, we learn how to tell the
Plenty
truth.
of blackjacks.
We
One
love
stop
blackjacks.
sign.
We love blackjacks.
Okay, Hoffman, Oklahoma, where
We
the
love
truth
it.
starts.
We
But
love it.
then, you know, I think that switch that come off that blackjack tree helped make a lot of truth come out of Hoffman,
But
Oklahoma.
one thing about it, we don't go around telling stories on people.
Okay.
Uh,
Well, Mom, you know, that's neither here.
that is here and there.
That is here and there. Okay, but then let's talk about what's coming up in Oklahoma City this week. What is going on?
Well, I know one thing is going on. Mr. Curry is going to, Curry Ballard
Curry.
is going to have to apologize because, you know, I was on a radio program with him and he brought in some hard questions. I never shall forget that. Nor will I forget Johnson Chaldina's at 1643 Northeast 50th Street, 2611 North Martin Luther King, where your child can get that expert care. Where somebody cares enough to teach your children something that's worthwhile in life. That's Johnson Chaldina's 2611 North Martin Luther King in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Somewhere I read, ask and it shall be given. I ask you for your support. You gave it to us. We were able to catch our bills up. You remember I told you about a lady that gave the NACP Youth Council's Freedom Center house at 1420 Northeast 12th Street, where we were able to get the inside of that cleaned off and some other things. Now we are looking for a carpenter. We need a good carpenter, Cal. We need
Well, that
somebody
should be.
that can put up.
That should
what
be.
do
All you have
call
to do
it?
is contact your local union hall.
Okay, we can.
How's that?
Okay, well, we can sure
Right
do
to
that.
work.
Anybody that would like to help the NACP Youth Council put up, what do you call that you put up, Calvin?
It sounds like sheetrock, Mom.
Sheetrock. Call me and immediately, and we need some plumbing because I know you want that.
Well, the
house
number to
fixed
call
up.
would be what? 424-394.
49
9,
or 424-2384.
Okay.
Those of you that were not able to attend the Freedom Fiesta activities, I would like to thank you for sending in your donation. I ask all of you to register if you didn't have but a penny to register with that, because every little bit helps. Calvin, I'm going to be honored by what is known as the National Conference of Christians and Jews.
NCCJ.
Oh, they've changed it to something
They
else.
have? Okay.
And that's on November the 6th, and I would like to invite you and all my friends to attend that. It's going to be out.
November the 6th, Mom. My
It's going to
God.
be out to the
Now,
Marriott.
you know that starting the 6th of this month, that I will be out at the Great Oklahoma State Fair.
That's in September. I'm
That's
talking
in
about
September.
November.
And then right after the fair, you know that Miss Merlin's Gumbo and CP's Catfish will be at Langston's Homecoming. And you weigh in November. Let's come back to something
I
closer
wanted
now.
people
We
to
know that the State
that
Fair...
Barry Switzer, the president of Kerr McGee.
Well, he'll probably come by the booth
all
at the
gonna
fair.
Be honored.
They probably
And
come by the booth at the fair.
I want to see how many friends I have that would go with me to that
November.
affair.
Well, I
November
tell you,
6th.
you got to keep on listening to the Clara Luper radio show. You need your pencil and your piece of paper and a calendar to mark down the dates on these activities. See, now you can come to the Great State Fair of Oklahoma. You can come by CP's Catfish, Miss Merlin's Gumbo. You can see Clara Luper. You can get Calvin Luper's autograph. You can do all those kind of things. But then in November, They're at this big dinner where Barry Switzer, who else will be there, Mom?
The president of Kerr McGee will be on.
The president of Kerr
Clara Luper
McGee.
from Hoffman, Oklahoma.
Okay.
Okay.
And it only would cost, instead of $25 a dinner, a plate, how much are the tickets?
The tickets are only $150.
How many people can come on that one ticket?
I don't know. They called me this week and
'Cause
told me to sing
$150 a ticket. I got to bring you some troops with me.
$150. Maybe Curry Ballard will come. I know there will be a lot
Well, there
of
was
people
something
that
else I
will
wanted to
come.
mention to you, Mama. It had to do.
I would like to mention Tom's Barbecue at 2504 Northeast 10th Street, where you can get barbecue at a price that you can afford. 2504 Northeast 10th Street, Tom's Barbecue. Barbecue chicken.
Barbecue chicken, barbecue turkey legs. He has a luncheon special that is there. He has a dinner special that is there. You know, and all of this, I love the changes that have gone there at Tom's. That barbecue, I don't know what he's doing different, but it seems to taste better. But and believe me, we know, because at Allstate Insurance, there's not too many places that we haven't sent out for dinner at. I had an opportunity to eat at, and Tom's Barbecue stands on of our list of the number one places to go. Tom's Barbecue, Northeast 10th.
2504 Northeast 10th Street. in
Across from
Oklahoma
Edwards
City.
Elementary School, a part of
Yes.
the Maps for Kids. I wonder if the Maps for Kids is going to buy Tom Barbecue sauce.
I wonder if any of the representatives from Maps for Kids have ever eaten on the east side of Oklahoma City.
Well, of course, you can tell
Well,
by the
anyway,
list of people.
we have a list
shouldn't
of all
say
of you
that.
that contributed during the Freedom Fiesta. I would like to thank the pastors of various churches in Oklahoma City that responded to our call. I would like to thank you from the bottom of my heart, and people are still talking about the young man that sang at the dinner, Larry Jackson.
Oh, good. I thought good.
Larry Jackson
Now, he
to
did.
our hearts.
Larry Jackson. Now he's a part of the choir of Fifth Street Baptist Church, isn't
Yes.
he? Okay.
Larry Jackson
He was
sang
tough.
out of his heart. He's tough.
He's tough.
I love to hear him sing, and
tough.
he did. He just.
Well,
Everybody been
everything
talking about
about the dinner was fantastic, Mom.
Yeah, that
You know, I mean,
speaker,
the-
John Pettis Jr.
Mr.
That-
President.
And the person that presided, the Honorable Mr. Burley and Nero.
Oh,
And
Mr.
Coco,
Hero.
oh my gracious, Coco went to town, and the presenters were just wonderful. And I'm
that was an activity that was not only a fun activity to be at, but it's good to be a part of history. That part of history was celebrating those people who have gone forth, who've paved the roads, who've maybe not put the brick down, but they've made it possible for the brick to go down. And to see a Reverend Shields, Bosie Walker, Mrs. Weekly, Mrs. Douglas, to see these kind of people at this dinner
And Mr.
and
Thomas
getting their dues.
Redwine.
Mr. Redwine, who came from Clinton and reminded us of some incidents that we'd forgotten all about, but that had gotten him started into being an active part of his community. Not just talk, but walking that walk to go along with the talk. And that's what the Freedom Fiesta is about. And I know and I feel like now that that's what the sit-in movement was about. It was about not just wanting to have, but taking that big step. You know, you can want to have a lot of things, but if you don't take that first step toward it, as Fluky has said, that first step can lead to 1,000,000 miles. If you don't do that, then you haven't done anything. You
But
know, you
so-
can
so many
dream, but you
people
got to
can-
make your dreams a reality.
Calvin, so many people don't understand what the Clara Luper's dinner is all about. That's about you. Those people are part of you. They are part of us, and they should be honored. And you will be hearing from them. I'm going to get each one of them on the Clara Luper radio show to talk to you about how they have made it. And one thing about slavery, they tell me in the evenings, the slaves would gather sitting on the dirt, and they would tell experiences that they have had.
Well, definitely
And
not.
that's
But
what-
you know, if
that's
we
about-
forget our past, then we really have to worry about our future.
There'll be no present,
that's-
there'll be no future.
And that's what
somebody
worries
say,
me about the things coming up in Oklahoma City, the tearing down instead of the refurbishing of schools, the tearing down, the moving of schools, you know. And I
then-
look at the schools, and they're primarily those where we have now become the majority students at, and even though we're still probably the minority in staff. But then it's going to be a difficult time, I think, for the school board and the city to sell me on this new tax plan. I'm looking forward to what they have to say, because that's going to be a
Oh,
challenge.
they are saying to you,
I'm-
vote for the plan, and we are going to put the school somewhere. I wonder will they put John Marshall out in Lake Hefner? I don't know.
And then,
But I do know one
then
thing.
charge us to build a road to it.
Leo's Barbecue is still operating with that good old banana cake. Go by there today and
Ooh.
get something.
Ooh, that's
Calvin, people been. I had somebody call me and say, "Why didn't you let Calvin Luper and his group sing at
Well,
the
that is
Clara
great.
Luper
Now,
dinner?"
why didn't you?
I selected Larry Jackson.
Well, now that's pretty tough competition there, Mom. Because
Tough.
Larry
There's no
Jackson,
competition.
no competition.
Larry,
Larry
the difference between you and Larry Jackson, Larry can sing and you can't.
Well, that's just a little slight differentiation there. But Larry Jackson can sing. But one thing about it, he knows he can sing, and I know that I can't sing. But one thing I do know that today we'll be celebrating a special birthday, because yesterday was Penelope Nunley's birthday. She turned brand new, blah, 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 age. I know that this week we will be celebrating birthdays. Some very special people there around the Allstate office. They say don't call her name, even though they will be having another birthday. But, Mom, this song goes out to you and to all of you who listen. And if you have a need for an entertainer at any of your events, please don't hesitate to contact the We Can't Singers. We're available. Happy birthday, Penny. Happy birthday, Penny. And may you have many, many more.
We would like to thank all of you that participated in the Freedom Fiesta and a slaughter you've always pulled for us. We want to thank you. And those of you that did not participate, we consider you as carpetbaggers. Those of you that come into Oklahoma City after somebody else has broken down the barriers and do nothing. Even if you didn't participate in the sit-ins, we expect you to participate. Now, I would like to tell you, we expect you to do something. You can no longer sit on the sideline and wait for someone else to come by. Nobody else. And you can't get up and tell me how it feels. You don't know how it feels to have somebody spit in your face and kick you and take you to jail until you have had that experience.
Well, Mom, that's an experience that we don't wish on anyone else, because we're progressing on. This is e-commerce time. This is this is the e-time of life. We want to be ready for it. We want you to be ready for it. Stay tuned here to KTLV, especially the Clara Luper Radio Show, where we have some good things
And
coming up.
Thank you, Francis Jackson. You just a sweetie. Francis always be
Yeah,
me.
she's
She's
tough.
the smartest person in my class, and I admire
That was a
her.
big class
Thank
you had down there.
Thank you. No, Francis from Okmulgee.
Oh, Muggy. Oh, that's the big
This
city.
is Clara Luper saying, if you hate me anyhow, but support me. This is Clara Luper saying,
Black
I
Heritage
do
of
love
Oklahoma.
you. Okay, bye-bye.